everybody. Jeff Gaduck from Premier Travel Media, and I am happy to have a very special guest with me today. Hello, Vicki Varela from the Utah Office of Tourism. How are you doing today, Vicki?
I'm great, Jeff. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well. So I've got a few questions for you today that I wanted to go through. Utah has been really one of the shining stars over the last couple of years. And I think it's kind of funny because so many people are like crawling out from underneath the woodwork. And they're like, okay, it's time to welcome tourists back and we're time to get our plan together. And that hasn't happened in Utah because you guys have been steady through this process, really a model of consistency and really something to be envied in the industry. Before I get into that too deep, obviously the last couple of years have been rough on a lot of destinations, but Utah has benefited from having wide open outdoor spaces, national parks there, obviously a big draw. Can you talk a bit about the correlation between that and visitor spending that you've witnessed?
Well, as you say, Jeff, people have craved wide open spaces the last several years. And we like to say in Utah that Mother Nature played favorites. We've just got spectacular wide open spaces. And so we were very fortunate that was a call to people to get out and experience Utah. We were also really fortunate that our legislature, all of our elected officials really believe in the visitor economy. And so they trusted us to continue to tell the Utah story all over the world. And so I think between the product offerings, I love you saying shining star, because part of our product offerings is the largest collection of night sky destinations in the world. And then our state parks, our national parks, combined with our continued marketing, means that we got through the COVID chapter really quite well. And by that, I mean, we lost less than almost any other state in terms of the total spending on the visitor economy.
Good. Well, some of the figures that I saw earlier, national parks had a 5.3% increase in visitation over 2019. I'm assuming these are probably 2020 numbers. State parks up 45.3% over 2019. I mean, that's getting outside.
Yes.
Probably balance that against maybe the convention business down, I would think, because that was just a no-go in a lot of places.
Yes, and I just want to pause on the state park increase. That's really important to us, that we like to say that our state parks would be national parks in most other states. There are just so many treasures there, and people can have a less crowded experience in the state parks. And so we were pleased that through COVID and as part of our long-term strategy, people are spreading out. Yes, we want them to have the national park experience, but that should be an exclamation point part of their experience, and they should spread out and see all the other wondrous things off the beaten path here.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great way to look at it. And there's so much pressure on national parks these days, admission, lodging around, to be able to spread those visitor dollars out. And it's only going to enhance their vacation if they can spend the time at a state park versus, if it is a little more crowded in the national park. So it's overall, it's a better experience for everybody, I would think.
Yeah. But to your question about the convention districts, Utah was like every other state through COVID, in that the most depressed part of our visitor economy is in urban areas, convention districts in particular, and showed leadership that we're proud of to help our convention districts back by helping them reset to smaller group gatherings, family reunions, regional business meetings, really reinventing a lot of their sales models in ways that will have long-term use for them. But just recognizing that people were not willing to gather in large traditional conventions, and that it's still a question mark the way convention visitation will come back. So we have to adapt.
I agree. There's sort of a new way of doing business. And while I think that conventions and meetings are going to be an important component of travel going forward, they may not have the same significance. I don't know if anybody's smart enough to know that quite yet, but you're smart in hedging your bets in looking at some alternate uses for these facilities to make sure that they're vibrant into the future.
We're also creating virtual options within our convention districts. So we've set up a really cutting edge virtual operation at the Salt Palace here in Salt Lake, so that people might have a hybrid of both in-person and virtual meeting participation.
Good. I'll look forward to seeing more information on how that comes together, because that's another reality of the business, is that if you can't attend live, maybe you can still attend a portion of the conference, at least from a virtual perspective. So talking a little bit further about visitation in Utah, I think one of the things that's plagued everybody within the United States, and I'm sure overseas as well, is staffing shortages. And that obviously has a negative pull on the tourism experience. Much of the same going on in Utah, help wanted signs, various places, or have you guys somehow figured that magical formula out as well?
We have had struggles like everyone else has. It has helped that we had a little more consistent occupancy than in other states. So we didn't have as many massive layoffs, even as many restaurant closures. The fact that we've been transitioning over the last several years to year-round visitation in many regions of the state has helped. But at the end of the day, people are going to have the same experience here that they're having all over the world. You walk into a restaurant and you see they don't have as many staff as you know they want and need. And so we all just have to be really nice and patient and be happy when that wonderful meal arrives.
Absolutely. Patience is, I think, is the key operative word there. And if we all exercise that, it'll smooth itself out over time. It just supply chain issues everywhere, and certainly staffing is a concern. So good. Well, it seems as though you weathered that better than most, because as you mentioned, you didn't go as low as some other destinations. So I'm happy about that. Obviously, national parks, the big five, right? People want to come to Utah for that. It's the tip of everybody's tongue. But how are you balancing that out? Obviously, more visitation to state parks, so that's a draw. But maybe rural tourism, second-tier destinations, without discouraging people from going to the main parks. Is there a marketing message there that makes sense?
Well, we know that people will come to visit the Mighty Five national parks. They have become internationally famous, and they're remarkable places. So it's a matter of ensuring that they have that extended experience beyond the half a day or so that they want to spend in the national park, making sure that when they do plan their national park visit, that they plan it carefully. If you're going to Zion, you need to plan for certain hikes where you have to have a reservation, and then that you go early in the day, that you go well prepared. All of this is wrapped up in something that people will see in our marketing called Forever Mighty.
Okay.
Obviously, it borrows and segues from Mighty Five to a consumer message about Forever Mighty, keeping these places perpetually wondrous by being really responsible stewards, planning before we go, leaving no trace when we are there by staying on trail, being prepared so we don't get ourselves in any kind of physical danger, making sure you have enough water, that you have the right shoes, and that you're mindful of the community setting and being respectful of that local community. immersing yourself in what that community is about, so that you will feel welcome there rather than out of place because you didn't prepare.
Okay. And that's permeating throughout your messaging, from
Yes,
marketing,
yeah, people
advertising.
will
Okay.
see Forever Mighty everywhere.
Okay.
We want people to feel that part of the joy that they can take from a Utah adventure is that they've made a contribution to having Utah be forever mighty, to
Good.
having it continue to be the kind of place that they want to come back.
Yeah, I love it. Really, really well thought out. You're one of the very few destinations that has maintained your international marketing presence over the last couple of years. Uh, how difficult of a decision was that?
It was actually imperative to us that we keep up our international storytelling. International visitors are a huge, important part of our visitor economy, and we don't want to be forgotten by that audience. And so we did lots of newspaper stories, lots of social media. We had a wonderful virtual walk across Utah for a
I
tour
read
operator.
about that. It seemed very cool. So
Yeah.
super smart. Whoever came up with that idea should get a promotion. I love it. Yeah.
I will tell her that. But it was a really fun way of understanding what a huge place this is
Mhm.
and how many adventures there are along the trail. And also keeping up your walking and outdoor activity while you had that virtual experience of our state. And of course, our hope is that it inspired people so much that they'll want to come and have the real experience.
Absolutely, yeah. And I would think that you're going to be out ahead of this because you've been messaging through this time period. And a lot of people have had time to sit and think about what they want to do in the future. And there's been Utah messaging. So, yeah, it's got to be a difficult decision in a sense because there was no market, but the long-term strategy is really, really well put together. So kudos on that for sure.
Well, thank you very much. It goes back to taking care of your best customers by keeping them informed, keeping them inspired, and being prepared for when they come back.
Yeah. So now that the markets are opening up, some of them, not all, of course, but we're seeing visitation coming from Europe, South America, certain parts of Asia. What's the airlift look like to Salt Lake these days?
We have a lot of direct flights coming back. Paris, Amsterdam, Guadalajara, many flights from Canada. And in May, we have a new direct flight from Frankfurt, Germany to Salt Lake City.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's an exciting time for us because we rebuilt our entire airport on the same basic platform over the last several years. The spectacular new airport opened just before COVID.
Okay.
And so we're very proud to be welcoming people into that beautiful airport from destinations all over the world.
Good, good. Well, Salt Lake is a great airport. The one thing I tell people, and this is going to hit me like on the side of the head, we did a trip to Southern Nevada and used Las Vegas as our gateway.
Yeah.
And within like 2 hours, we're hitting Zion, and Bryce is like a little bit farther, right? But really the gateway to the Southwest Utah could be Las Vegas. I know it's a different state,
Yeah.
but you all work together a little bit, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, we have a group of Western states that works closely together on policy issues, and we call each other Westie Besties because we know our international visitors don't see state boundaries. What they see is this spectacular Western landscape. And so it's important for us to collaborate. We call that Las Vegas to Southern Utah Loop, the neon to nature.
Oh, cute.
Yeah. And so it is amazing that you can have that Las Vegas experience, nowhere else in the world to have the
Mhm.
Las Vegas experience, and then have the Zion Bryce, nowhere else in the world kind of experience, and all with very limited travel.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's easier than most people think, and just requires you have to look at a map and sort of plot your journey out. But that's part of what the Office of Tourism does. Um, any other partnerships you do with other states regionally?
Yeah, we work very closely with Colorado and Arizona. I mentioned the night skies. Utah's proud to have the most night sky designations in the world, but there are also wonderful designations in Colorado and Arizona. So we have night sky tours. We have scenic byway tours. I think those are the key ones that I would highlight for you.
Okay, good. Last question for you for this interview. One of our pandemic pivots here is the film production industry. We were looking at, like other businesses, where opportunities might lie. We sort of stumbled upon this. This was pre-COVID, but we launched the product during COVID, and it deals with on-site film production locations and helping filmmakers and production companies find engaging backdrops and sceneries to film, primarily in North America. I know Utah has a very rich history of film. Can you talk a little bit about your film business there and sort of what you guys do to facilitate, whether it's blockbuster productions or independent films coming through?
Yes. So from the 20s and 30s, Utah has been a mecca for film production. All the traditional Westerns virtually always have a huge Utah statement. Of course, some of the most memorable are Monument Valley, those spectacular red rock formations. The modern movie making, we talk about the fact that the landscape in Utah is like a character in a movie. Think Butch Cassidy, Thelma and Louise, Forrest Gump, Dumb and Dumber. Literally thousands of movies have been made here. And it's an important part of our economy. It's an important part of attracting the creative class to the state.
True.
So we have a film incentive program. We were very fortunate that the legislature expanded that program this year, so that we have basically doubled the film incentive that will enable us to attract film production companies, especially to rural Utah. Well, spending $1 in rural Utah is like $7 on the Wasatch Front. It's just a really important part of keeping our rural economy strong.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's another way to sort of broaden or diversify the revenue that's coming into them. If they're relying on a certain industry, this can certainly buoy that. And we've seen examples of this. It's one of the really exciting parts about the business is it can put you on the map, literally. If your film production takes off and people see this destination, they want to go back there. That's a nice bonus. But I just think, the jobs and the local crew being there, it adds a bit of buzz and excitement as well, especially in the rural areas. Maybe not so much in New York or Los Angeles, they're more inconvenienced by it, but you go into rural parts of the country and they've got a film production crew through there. It's a chance to maybe see a celebrity or be an extra in a movie. So just a lot of fun benefits of that.
Yeah. And of course, we're so proud of Sundance Film Festival out of Park City. Some of the best movies that we've all seen have come out of that film festival. Many of them filmed in Utah, it's just a really exciting part of our creative class again. That so many remarkable filmmakers have come out of that Sundance laboratory.
Absolutely.
And we've had 2 years of not being able to be in the theater together. And we're just so looking forward to a live Sundance experience with popcorn and everything that goes with going to a movie.
Absolutely. And get that buzz back going again. Well, they were good to persevere because I know they went to a virtual format like others have through this. So, great to see them with plans towards the future of making that a live event and just, let's get back to where we started with that and really showcase, because Sundance is obviously one of the premier film festivals in the world. So it'd be awesome to see that come back online again. Well, Vicki, I really appreciate your time. Any final thoughts, or you have any projections into the future as far as how business is shaping up for Utah, having gone through this?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're most enthusiastic about is international projections. We understand that the economists are saying that by 2025, that international visitation will have grown by about 8%. In Utah, the projections are for 14% growth. We're so happy to invite that many international visitors back because we love everything they bring, the curiosity, the engagement, the discovery. And we think this reflects that we've done the right thing by keeping the conversation going with our international visitors. And we know that people want what we have to offer, and we want to share it.
Absolutely. Well, it is a marvelous destination, and lucky for you to have the position to be charged with promoting tourism to the state. Congratulations on what you've been able to persevere through COVID and on continuing your international marketing. I only see bright skies ahead for Utah.
Thank you so much. Great to talk with you.